it. Let's talk about timing then. You get into pre-construction, you start talking about the timing and the schedule, correct?
Correct.
Right. So part of that second meeting then is to really try and impress and reinforce on what we had kind of told the customer on the first client meeting about the company and the basis and who they're selecting and how they're selecting their contractor. Because at this point, all the contractors are sort of all in that initial production and presentation phase. And this is where we'd really like to work with the customer to help them try and at least narrow it down to their top 2 at that point. We're not looking for business yet. We still understand that we still have to earn that. But it's nice to know that they don't have to do all these meetings times 4. Sometimes customers will even talk to 5 or more. I wouldn't advise probably more than 2 or 3, just because it's a big time commitment on their part. And if they're skilled at looking at the websites and really screening the companies they'd like to come to their house in the first place, one of the things we'd mentioned about Angie's List and Better Business Bureau is look at the website. You can usually get a lot of information on the company's strength and background just looking at the websites. If it's a real poorly done website versus one that's really kind of nice looking and introduces you to the team and introduces you to the costs, you can reduce the number of contractors you need to talk with. Once you've made that kind of commitment to 2 contractors, or maybe at that point you feel comfortable just going with a single contractor, obviously we'd love to have somebody feel so comfortable with us that even after a few hours of presentations and meeting with them that they've kind of given us a verbal commitment they'd like to move forward. We still have a lot of work to go. So your question was around timing. From that second meeting, which is the initial presentation around the base design, around the base budget, it could go from 2 to 3 weeks for probably the shortest that we've seen. Courtney and I can see small cycle times around a month. It may take 5 or 6 or 8 weeks to even design a basement. It could take 12 weeks. And it's around the timing around the customer too. They may want to push off a start until the summer or the fall or when the kids get in school or they're coming out of school. Or maybe they'd like to start before the family takes a big trip to Europe or maybe when they come back. So we really tailor the design build process to the company's timing. The client's timing. And just make our company's schedule sort of fit that. We're usually pretty flexible that we can start whenever they want. If it's a delay of more than maybe a couple months, we still may proceed with the design build, but we may put off some of the selections and the visits to the vendors and design centers, working with an interior designer, until a little closer to where they're ready to begin the project. But mostly the customers are ready to go and continue right along with the design build and then move right into the construction project. Large projects, design builds, pop-tops, custom homes, I typically see those can take between 4 and 6 months of design time, working with the architectural, structural engineers, the surveyors, and talking to all my vendor teams to where we get the permit into the building department. I think we talked about that in our first one, that once the plan set goes into the building department, each city also has their own timing. So they may review it right there over the counter with our project manager. They may take a login process of a couple weeks. And Denver goes as long as sometimes as 3 to 4 months for their plan reviews for the big projects. So we need to factor that in and discuss that early on in the design build process. So the expectation is realistic in the beginning of when the project might start.
Well, as they always say, timing is everything, and I know that's something that you help people with, and any good contractor will help you with, is coming up with the timing and backing into that and thinking about everything from schools and so far, kids being in schools, what's going to be a good time for the home to be open if it's during the winter time, right?
Absolutely.
Correct.